getting people greeted and situated. We want to begin today with the prayer pledge and four-way test with past President Jeff Hildebrand. So if you'll begin, you're already here. He is ready to roll, followed by introduction of guests by Maha Witherington. Come on, Brother Jeff.
Thank you, President Mitch. Please join me in the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Please join me in prayer. In a world where conflict often appears to be a way of life, we give thanks that as Rotarians we can reach across so many borders to offer comfort, counsel, and service to those in need. As we lift our voices in prayer, we give thanks that we have the ability to offer our time, our talents, and our fortunes to serve our neighboring men and women. We now join in fellowship and ask that this food nourish us and help us better fulfill our commitment to service above self. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Now let's welcome Maha Witherington to the stage to introduce a lot of guests we have here. So come on up, Miss Maha.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we saw the names on the screen, so what I would like to do is welcome all the returning Rotarians and all the guests, and I would like the guests and the inviting Rotarian please to stand up for a round of applause. Thank you and have a great program.
Thank you, Ms. Maha. Now, we are, as you know, one of the largest Rotary clubs in the world, but we have been in a real season of growth, welcoming about 15 new members in July and August. We have another new member to introduce today, so we'd like to ask Susan Blair to join on stage to introduce Ian.
Thank you, Mitch. Yes, we are excited to welcome new member Ian Shuttleworth to Rotary Club 99. Ian, come on up. Ian is sponsored by Ellen Cockrell. Ian is with the Arkansas chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, where he leads the Walk to End Alzheimer's, the world's largest event to raise awareness and funds for Alzheimer's care, support, and research. The Central Arkansas Walk is one of the top 100 walks in the nation, with over 1,100 attendees and a fundraising goal this year of $220,000. Incidentally, there is a Rotary Action Group for Alzheimer's dementia, and Rotary International has set a $1 million fundraising goal for 2025. Ian has been with the organization for 2.5 years, and previously he was with Camp Aldersgate for 5.5 years, where he was program manager and program coordinator. He's a graduate of Arkansas Tech with dual degrees in rehabilitation science and psychology. He was a 4-year letterman on the Wonder Boys football team and was named to the Great American Conference All-Academic Team. Ian serves on the Young Adult Advisory Council at the MD Anderson Cancer Center. He's one of 30 current and former patients who advise the center on development, programs, and services that impact young adults. Ian and his wife Brianna are big fans of Kansas City sports, and they love hiking in the natural state. Ian, we're pleased to welcome you as a member of Club 99.
Thank you, Susan, and the whole membership committees hard at work. We appreciate their work. Ian, we're thrilled to have you here and look forward to your contribution to the organization. We do have a few announcements before we get to our program. We want to make sure you're aware of the Women of Rotary is hosting an in-person kickoff meeting coming up very soon, so you're going to see that here on July 31st. Be on the lookout for that. We want you to be aware of, and we want to be supportive of, a school supply drive happening at Park Plaza that benefits Dunbar Magnet Middle School. As many of you know, we have a partnership program with Dunbar. We're engaged in membership, one-track mind, sorry. We're engaged in mentorship with the Dunbar students, and this is another opportunity for us to help Dunbar get ready for the year through the school supply drive and take advantage of tax-free weekend coming up here August 1st and 2nd. There is also, speaking of our partnership with Dunbar, a back-to-school bash, which we have helped with before. Rotary Grill Master Don Cole, who I saw here a minute ago, works up a pretty mean set of, there you go, over here, burgers and brats and the like. But we do need volunteers to help with that journey. Many of you have partnered with that project. Volunteers are needed, and I am told we have a place in a shade this year. If that's any kind of inducement to coming to help out on August 7th, please reach out to Karen in the office if you'd like to be a part of that. We really need your help. Reminder, given the number of new members that I just mentioned that have been joining the mission here with the Rotary Club, we have a new member orientation luncheon August 22nd that Melissa Hendricks is hosting as part of our engagement committee led by Kristen Nicholson. There's a lot of good information to get you plugged in, get you situated and on the path to having this a really productive experience. And lastly, if you scan that QR code, you'll see a list of the programs that are coming up. We have some terrific CEOs coming in the next couple of weeks, but we also are on the lookout for the students who are part of the Oppenheimer Exchange Program, who are joining us from Vietnam shortly. So so many of you have stepped up, volunteered to take them places, to show them Arkansas, invited them into your homes as part of this program. We have a couple of small slots left available. If you'd be willing to house these two gentlemen somewhere in the week of August 4th through the 10th, we can break that up if you can do a couple of days, or you want the weekend only and not the midweek. We just have 2 more little slots there between August 4 and 10. And if you are able to help us there, you can visit with Maha, Chris Mangum, or the office, and we can get the last few slots there just for their overnight accommodations taken care of. We're very excited about the trip. There's been a big team working on that for some time, including T. Martin and the previous Jason Chaco. There's a whole group of people who've been working on this, and we're excited about their arrival. All right, as we begin to transition toward the program as our presidential minute, we have been focusing on individuals, companies, nonprofits, and different government agencies that are building a better Arkansas. Our theme is Building Arkansas this year, and we've been highlighting a whole group of folks already that you may not know exist in the universe. And we want to do that periodically throughout this year. We've showcased companies in Pine Bluff, we've showcased companies in Little Rock, and today we're heading toward Jacksonville. This company first invested in Jacksonville in 2016, and about a year ago completed a 250,000 square foot expansion of its manufacturing facilities there in order to support a whole collection of military contracts that it does through the Department of Defense. The governor and her team too were on hand for that significant grand opening, celebrating the continued growth of this organization. Sig Sauer employs about 3,200 people worldwide. We're thrilled they're part of Arkansas. So turn to the screen and you'll see a brief video. And as always, we thank the Little Rock Chamber of Commerce for this video.
Sig Sauer is a very significant manufacturer of small arms in the United States, commercial market, military market, law enforcement market, and relocated that operation into the Jacksonville area and began producing. When you start considering Arkansas, you wonder about the industrial base. What is available to you? And I think one of the pleasant surprises when you actually are in Arkansas is that there is a wealth of access to really very high-tech manufacturing technology. If we need it, we can find it. The other thing that is really remarkable to me is the speed with which we've been able to get this done. The construction season is long and favorable, and the progress we've been able to make in a very short period of time is really very exciting. We've had a 200,000 square foot building that we started last summer. We will be in that building in less than a year. I think the thing that we're really proud about with what we're putting here is that this is growth for the area. This is an important industry to support our national defense. Sig Sauer is investing millions and millions of dollars in putting in facilities. We will be adding hundreds of jobs. We've already added hundreds. Our growth in this area is going to be substantial, and we're here to stay. I'm Sean McGee. I'm the Vice President of Operations for Sig Sauer Ammunition, and our ammunition is made in the Metro.
Very good. Another great company in our state. Hopefully you're learning a little more about some of the great things happening at all four corners of our state. And so thank you again to the Chamber for providing that video for us. Moving on to our program, as we have our theme of Building Arkansas, there's probably no better guest to showcase than the governor of the state of Arkansas, the CEO of this state, Governor Sarah Sanders. She needs no introduction, but I'm going to do that anyway. The 47th governor of Arkansas, the first woman elected to that office. She has brought a focus on education reform, workforce development, and economic competitiveness. Today, we have an opportunity to hear directly from the governor about recent legislation, a variety of upcoming initiatives, and her vision for business and economic growth in Little Rock, as well as the whole state. So please, joining Governor Sanders on the stage today is moderator and Rotarian Mandy Richardson. So please give a warm welcome to the governor of the state of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Glad we got the green memo today.
It's always good to be color coordinated.
Well, we're really grateful that you're here today, and I'm looking forward to this conversation with you, so thank you in advance for your time. We're going to get this party started, so we're going to jump right in. You've had a very busy legislative session, really a lot of reform focused around the future of Arkansas, and I'm just curious, what are some of the reform policies that you feel are going to have the largest impact on the business climate here in the state over the next 3 to 5 years?
Sure. Well, first I want to say thank you for having me, and it's great to be back. I think it was almost exactly a year ago that I had the opportunity to come and be part of this group, and so it's wonderful to be back. And, I think there are a lot of things in terms of the legislative session that are particularly important to the business community and the environment that we have here in the state. One of the best examples that I can give, and we've talked a lot about that in this room and with this group of people, when I first started and first got elected as governor just a little over 2.5 years ago, every single business that I met with, every single person that I talked to that was looking at either expanding in the state or was coming into the state, they all asked the same question, is can you supply and build the workforce that I need? And now you fast forward and we're actually getting a really different question. They still want to know about workforce, but I think because there's been such a collaborative effort on part of our state, we've started to really make significant progress in building a strong workforce pipeline. And now the number one question we get asked is, do you have energy capacity? That has become the hot new question for any business looking to build, expand, is can you meet the energy demands of what we want to put there? And I'm proud of the fact that Arkansas can say yes to both of those questions. We have leaned aggressively into our workforce, starting first with K through 12 education. We know that we need a solid, strong foundation if we want to see our students have pathways to success. So the very first months I was in office, we made K through 12 the top priority in the state, and we've made significant progress in that space. Then we wanted to build on that, and so this session we focused on higher education. We're really big on names in our office, so we had Arkansas Learns, and now we have Arkansas Access, which is the higher education legislative package. We know that every kid's pathway to success looks different. I know that each one of our 3 kids, my husband Brian is here with me today, and they all learn differently, they need different things, and so we can't expect that every single student in our state is going to look the same and have the same needs and be on the same path. So access was a big part of what we focused on this session, making sure more students have accessibility, more scholarships, more standardization, eligibility to go into their next layer of higher education, whether that's a 4-year school, a 2-year school, a trade or vocational program, or simply going directly into the workforce. So that was a big part. But then going back to the energy capacity. Sorry, these are my areas that I can talk about all day. But on energy capacity, one of the things that has been left behind, not just in Arkansas, but across the country, was energy infrastructure. And it's actually extremely expensive, as you know, to build infrastructure, whether it's for energy or water or roadways. And so investing in a big way in our energy infrastructure was a big priority this session. And we now have created legislation that helps Arkansas be competitive with every other state in the country when it comes to meeting our energy demands. Our utility companies worked really closely with our legislators, with our state, with our city and county officials to make sure we were meeting those demands. And so when we go out and we sell our state, the two biggest questions that businesses want an answer to: do you have the workforce, and can you meet energy capacity? Arkansas can certainly say yes on both of those fronts, and I think it's one of the reasons our state and our business industry is doing so well.
It's exciting, and we appreciate that. I think that's important for our state to continue to grow and thrive. We also know important to our state, and a conversation that we've been having for several years is really around maternal health and the challenges that our state has faced with that particular topic. Healthy communities lead to healthy businesses. You've certainly had a strong focus on maternal health, and really thankful for a lot of the work that you've done around the Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies Act. But could you talk to us a little bit today about the initiatives with that act or others that your administration is focusing on, just to further this conversation and see what our state can do to improve those outcomes?
Sure. Certainly a big issue that is facing our state. And unfortunately, we had no place to go but up. And that's the bad news. The good news is we have no place to go but up in this space, because Arkansas continues to rank at the very bottom when it comes to maternal health. And so one of the big priorities that we laid out was we knew this wasn't something that government alone could fix, and it was going to take a true across-the-board collaborative effort. And so we put a task force together, which is generally something I actually dislike, because task force get created all the time, and at the end you still have a task force and you have very little to show for it. However, this group was unbelievably motivated, and we asked for anybody that was interested, anybody that was willing to come and be part of this strategic planning team. We gave them a 6-month window, and we had more than 100 people volunteer. They met over 24 times and really put together in 6 months a true strategic plan on how we could address the maternal health problems facing our state. And frankly, you had a lot of people that had never sat at a table together and might agree on nothing else in our state, certainly on politics or policy, other than the fact that they wanted to see a real change and a real difference made when it came to maternal health. And so they put together a comprehensive strategy that touches all 4 corners of our state. I think so often that's the mistake that we make in government, is we like to tinker on the edges. We don't actually build out a comprehensive strategy that brings all the stakeholders to the table. And that's exactly what this group did. And we have invested over $45 million enacting a lot of the things that were put forward from this strategic planning committee, taking into account all of the different challenges that we have. We know that healthy moms have healthy babies, and so many women in our state were never seeing a doctor until they were actually in labor, despite the fact that they had access, and free access, I should say, to see a doctor in all 9 months of their pregnancy, and they just simply weren't doing it. And so making a difference and showing awareness and helping them get access was a big piece of it, and something that I think we're making significant progress in, and it's thanks to all of these partners coming together and helping us address what I think will be a big issue for our state for several years, but that we're taking a holistic, comprehensive approach, and we'll see a positive difference in the coming months.
Is there a next step to that when it comes to specific business conversations that should be happening, or initiatives that we hope to see the private sector start to take on in conjunction with those state policies?
Sure, and I'll talk about a couple of things. I think it's important for us to lead by example when it comes to the state. And so a couple of the places that we've tried to do that, part of our LEARNS legislation, which we even expanded on this year, we're one of the few states in the country, one of only 9 states in the country that actually offers paid maternity leave, up to 12 weeks of paid maternity leave for teachers, which is a big deal considering 70% of the teacher workforce in Arkansas is made up of women. And so that is a significant transition from what we've seen in the past, where we have some of our best educators that never come back to the classroom, or people that don't want to launch a career in the first place because they feel like they have to choose career over family. We want to keep those best educators in the classroom. And so by providing that, and for the state taking on the cost and the burden of that, we're seeing already within just the first couple of months, a lot more women taking advantage of that. One of the pilot programs that we launched that I think is a great example and something we'd love to see more in the private sector take on. We started at DHS, and I'm proud that we have expanded into other state agencies, including the governor's office, but it's a Bring Your Baby to Work program. And it actually makes everybody much happier too. It's amazing how much more enjoyable the workday is when you have a 2-month-old in the office. Now, if they're crying, that can change things a little bit, but generally they sleep a lot in those first 6 months. And the way this pilot program works is that with permission of your supervisor, a parent can bring their child with them into the workplace up to 6 months old, so that they continue to have that bonding time, but it also allows them to get back into the workplace. Just in the last year, in our small office of about 50 people, we have had 6 parents, both dads and moms, that have had kids that have brought their babies into the office. And I've done an entire cabinet meeting holding one of the babies in our office. It's amazing, 2 people don't say no to you nearly as much when you're holding a baby. So I highly recommend any of you who are looking for looking into a confrontational meeting, or maybe you have a tough deal you're trying to work on, grab a 2-month-old, carry them into the office. Maybe make sure you have permission from the parents too, just as a clarifying. But it really has created not only a better working environment, but we reinforce the things that we actually talk about all the time. It's hard to say that we support family values and we support moms and families if we don't actually do things that support moms and families in the workplace. It's one of the biggest challenges that so many families face, is that the cost of childcare has skyrocketed. At one point, we were paying more for childcare a month than we were paying for the mortgage on our house here in Little Rock. Shouldn't work like that. And so looking for ways that we make it easier for people to have both a career and be parents is something that we've really valued and try to lead by example, and certainly would encourage more and more businesses to look at how you do that. It may be very different in your workplace on how you can support those efforts, but finding ways to be creative and innovative, not only is it helping you retain some of your workforce, but I think it raises the quality of life and the quality of the environment that you get the chance to work in. One of the other things, and then I promise I'll let you keep asking questions.
You can keep talking about this one. That's
One of
great.
the other things that we've done in the last few months is created a website that allows people from all over the state to help find childcare providers, quality childcare providers. I think one of the scariest things is having to drop your kids off and not knowing if the place that you're leaving them is going to be safe and quality and your kids are going to be cared for. And so we have created a website, childcarearkansas.com, that allows you to find quality childcare providers in your area, and we're trying to build on that significantly. And so it's another just tool that we're trying to make available to help promote families and people being able to have both workplace and a good environment for their kids.
That's amazing. Wish that had been around 14 years ago, so thanks for making sure it's there now. Maternal health, health of children is a Rotary International focus for sure. Another one of our international focuses really is around building local economies. And as the state capital, Little Rock has a unique role in our local economy. I'm just curious, you talked about some of the things from a statewide workforce perspective that we were dealing with. Looking ahead, are there particular things your administration is focusing on that directly have impact here in Central Arkansas?
Sure, and the mayor's right here at the front table, and he and I, this is actually our second event together today, and so we're very glad this one's inside, though, because this morning we were outside, but worth sweating for, because we had the opportunity to announce 1,000 new jobs in an Amazon expansion project right here in Little Rock. And one of the big advantages that we see here in Central Arkansas, here in our capital city, is the fact that we are a logistics hub. We are truly the center, the heart of the heartland, and we have to take advantage of that. It is a unique selling proposition for our city and for our state. We have river, we have rail, we have runways, everything that you need to be a central logistics hub. And when we lean into that and we sell that, it makes a difference. You know, people want to know, if they create a great product, can it actually get delivered beyond the factory? And knowing that we have every ability to move product is a good selling point for our state and for our city, and something the mayor and I have worked on together a lot. And we joke that we've been out to the port quite a few times, because that area of our city is growing and has just so many good things happening, including the announcement we have today. I love that you showed the video from 6 Hour, because one of the stories that I love to tell that makes me really proud as a governor is 6 Hour signed and was working on the expansion here in Little Rock at the exact same time that they were working on an expansion next to their corporate headquarters in the Northeast. We were doing the ribbon cutting and fully operational before they had the first permit and had started building in the Northeast. Not only had we actually signed a deal, worked on the expansion, but we were operational before they even started a year later. And I think that shows the difference when you get regulations out of the way, when you cut red tape, and when you create a good business environment and get out of the way and let the businesses do what they do best. 6 Hour doesn't want me telling them how to make arms and ammunition, but what they do want us to do is clear the tape and create an environment where they can be really successful. I think another great success story from right here in Little Rock that you can point to and look at time and time again is West Rock Coffee. This was an idea where you had Scott and Joe Ford, who had been really successful in business and frankly could have just ended their careers there and been really happy and lived great, comfortable lives. Scott was inspired by taking trip after trip. He had done several mission trips in Rwanda and seeing these coffee mills and the lack of distribution that they had and access that they had to move their product. And he thought, we can do this. I love to hear his story, because he said, I knew nothing about coffee. I knew nothing about growing coffee or moving coffee. He said, but I know something about business, and I know that Little Rock has all the tools that you need to build a really strong, successful business. He said, so we can do this here. And they built an unbelievable company with the largest coffee distribution of anybody in the world, and they did it right here in our backyard. They had some challenges and some difficult moments, but throughout it all, they knew that they had all the tools necessary. And I think that's what makes a big difference of success in our state, is the environment is part of it, but then having that little bit of Arkansas grit that pushes you over the edge is what allows you to overcome some of those difficult challenges that you know are gonna come your way and build something really special. And there is a reason that we're home to Fortune 1 companies like West Rock and so many others. It's because we have all the tools necessary, and then a little bit of Arkansas grit that take us to the next step.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you. One of the top issues we do continue to hear, I know that conversation has changed to the energy needs from your perspective in a lot of ways, but workforce readiness is still a conversation very important to the business community. Certainly through the LEARNS Act and some of the other educational reforms, we've seen that shift, but I just would love for you to share a little bit more insights on some of the outcomes that you've seen from those initial months in office, and just the progress that we've made to strengthen the workforce statewide.
Sure, and not to sound like a broken record, but education has obviously been a huge priority and something we've spent so much time on. because I think it is one of the biggest things and responsibilities we have as a government. There are two key priorities and things that I think fall squarely on our shoulders to really lean into, and that's education and public safety. And it's why we spend so much time as a team, as an administration, as a with our legislative partners on these two critical areas. And education, as I stated before, we focused really heavily on that K through 12 side, and I'm proud that we've made significant progress in just a short amount of time. We really know that literacy is such a big determining factor, and now we have over 125 literacy coaches that are hired by the state and deployed to districts all around Arkansas. And we're seeing the fruits of that labor, because within the last couple of months, they released the Atlas scores. And for one of the first times in our state's history, we're actually moving up in every single category that they test, showing that what we're doing is actually working. The places that we're investing are actually turning and doing what we want them to do. Literacy being a huge part of that, making sure that, again, going back to investing in our teachers. We know that a good education starts with a good educator. And so keeping those best and brightest at the front of the classroom, we leaned into things like raising starting teacher pay. But we didn't want it to just be the base level teachers. We made sure that every single teacher in the state got at least a $2,000 pay raise. We had scholarship programs, loan forgiveness programs, and paid maternity leave for our teachers. Those are a lot of the key elements that we know are helping keep some of those teachers in the classroom. We also instituted a merit-based pay system, and within the last few months, we were able to award up to $10,000 in merit-based pay bonuses to our teachers, to 4,300 different teachers in the state. Last year, we had 3,000 teachers, so already up 1,300 from one year to the next, more than $10 million going into the pockets of educators across the state. That's a great thing of helping us keep some of those best and brightest educators and making a big difference. Building on that, we go into education freedom accounts. We did a phased-in approach, and this week I had the chance earlier, I guess it was yesterday. It feels like it's been a much longer week than that. But just yesterday, we were at the Easter Seals grand opening, where we got to see an expansion of this school, where every single student at the school participates in the education freedom accounts. These are students that need specialized programming. We have kids that come from not just Little Rock, but all over the state, all four corners, that come for that specialized programming and that one-on-one attention that they really need. We know that every kid can learn if given the right environment, the right resources, and the right opportunity. And for a lot of those kids, that's exactly what they need and what they're now getting at a place like Easter Seals. They used to have 22 students, and as of this fall, they will have 220 students, and they were able to take every single person off of their waiting list and get them enrolled at Easter Seals. That is life-changing for those 220 kids and their families, and we know that it will have a long-term impact on our state. You build from that and you go into higher education. We know that, like I said, everybody's pathway looks a little differently. We say that your education journey should sort of be like an interstate, where there's on-ramps and off-ramps, and it should never really end. You may graduate from high school and go directly into the workforce, but you may have opportunities where you can upskill and continue to grow and learn, and you should have the ability to come back on and off that interstate so that you're continuing to move up the ladder. That's the goal. It shouldn't be that anybody's trapped in any one place, but that there is constant opportunity for people here to take advantage of. And that's what we feel like we've done through Arkansas Access, whether it is a student graduating from high school, one of those 2-year programs. Our goal is to make sure that at the end of your education journey, you're prepared to either enroll, enlist, or be employed. And so that is what we have opened up and what we think we're going to achieve through Arkansas Access, and really grow a true pipeline of workers here in the state of Arkansas. I could probably talk about this particular area for the next couple of hours, but because I know everybody here doesn't want that and actually has businesses to run, I promise that I will stop there and I'll let you ask another question.
We might be okay with that. Continue. We appreciate those efforts. It's so important to our future for sure. Business leaders, like many in this room, really cite tax policy and regulation as factors of where to grow and invest, and we know there's more than just that, but could you speak to some of the updates on tax policy or regulatory reforms that are really designed to make Arkansas a more attractive place for companies to grow and invest?
Probably the only thing I like to talk about more than education and workforce development is cutting taxes. And so really excited that over the last 2 years, we've been able to cut taxes in Arkansas 3 times, taking 20% off of our state income tax, putting more than $1 billion back into the pockets of Arkansans. And by doing that, we're reinvesting into our state, and you're seeing the return. As of today, I don't actually know if this is public, so I hope I don't get myself in trouble, but we will be $10 million this month ahead of our forecast and even better than what we did in July of last year, which was not expected from a lot of the outside voices who said that this would hurt our economy and not bring about the type of change that we're looking for in the growth in our economy. Arkansas has been #1 in the country for cost of living. We have been in the top 5 for GDP the last 3 quarters in a row compared to all states, and we're #1 in the country for inbound migration, meaning that the things that we are doing, getting rid of some of our overburdensome regulations, cutting taxes, people are paying attention, and they're happy about the level of investment that we're making in the state, and it's helping us continue to grow and build one of the strongest economies we've ever had in Arkansas.
That's awesome. Awesome. Many of our members are also watching emerging industries like tech and logistics, healthcare. Are there initiatives or partnerships that might boost growth in those areas, in particular tech, industry, healthcare?
Sure, I think one of the biggest is going back to the energy capacity piece, and tech companies require a lot of energy, and so making sure we can supply and meet that demand is big. But I think one of the big things that we have done as a state and really tried to focus on is as much as I would love to say Arkansas can be first in everything, it's simply not realistic. So we wanted to spend real time, where can we be first? Where do we have the right to win? And we worked with our commerce department, local chambers of commerce, our city and our county governments, our education department, and we built out what are the key places where Arkansas can be first? And we identified 18 sectors where we feel like these are going to be high growth, high wage, high capacity business industries here in the state. And we have built a lot of things around that, whether it's creating more energy capacity or a dual track diploma program in high schools where every single high school in the state now has to offer certification in one of those 18 areas. And so doing things like that to really lean into the places we can be first and not trying to be all things to all people, I think makes a really big difference. Tech is one of those places, advanced manufacturing, agriculture, tourism, the steel industry, lithium and energy production. These are places we know that we can be at the top of the list. And so we have really spent a lot of energy making those a priority and leaning into those spaces instead of trying to diversify across the board and be all things to all people.
Right. Well, you've talked about infrastructure in several of your responses, and so I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but certainly highways and broadband are conversations that we're all interested in having and knowing what's going on there. So are there any updates on roads or the broadband initiatives in the state that you're excited about?
Sure. Everybody has a road they want built, so we're aware of that. I keep a running list on bad roads on my phone that I personally drive down, and am happy to send those in to our team. But infrastructure is beyond just roads. One of the big things over the course of the last 2 years that we have spent a lot of time on is water infrastructure. It's one of the things that has been ignored for many decades, but you'll be hard-pressed to find any city or county in Arkansas that doesn't have water infrastructure needs and problems. People probably don't know, but we've spent $4 billion in the last 2 years on water infrastructure on projects in all 75 counties. We started when I first came into office creating a statewide water plan, something in an assessment of all of our major water infrastructure needs, something that we haven't done in 2 decades. And so looking at what are our highest priority, highest needs that have to be addressed immediately, and started slowly ticking away at those, using both state funds as well as city and county funding, and a lot of federal funding that many states weren't claiming and going after. We've been really aggressive in making sure we're bringing those dollars back to our state, which has allowed us to put that $4 billion to good use. The bad thing is, we still probably have north of $4 billion in water infrastructure needs around the state. And so we are trying to continue, and we're moving into phase 2 of our statewide water plan and addressing our next layer and next level of water infrastructure projects. Partner that with all of the roads and bridges and investment that we're doing there. We work closely with, like I said, the mayor on a lot of projects, but those are some of the key things that we're regularly working with city and county leadership, as well as our federal delegation, on making sure that Arkansas continues to be one of the best logistics states and logistics hubs of anywhere in the country. And the BEAD program, which is the broadband program, Arkansas ranked number 9 in the country in terms of getting dollars in and productivity in addressing our statewide broadband needs. We've had $1 billion awarded to us from the federal government, again, ranking 9th in amount of dollars awarded for a state like Arkansas is a big deal. But part of that is because we had so many needs, and we are working to address and make sure every single person has access to broadband. I think one of the things that everyone learned from COVID and during that time period is if you are disconnected, you're at a real disadvantage. And so making sure we have connectivity to every corner of the state, whether you're in a rural part of Arkansas, no kid should have to go to a McDonald's parking lot to do their homework. And so providing that access and making sure that we complete that last mile, which is one of the biggest challenges, is something we've worked really hard on and will continue to do until everybody has that connectivity.
That's great. Well, my last question for you, and then any final remarks that you'd like to share with us, we'd be excited to hear. We know how important small business is to this community, to the state as a whole, and so really speaking to that cornerstone of our economic situation, are there initiatives, regulations specific to small business owners or small businesses, especially given the challenges of the economy that your administration is looking at or exploring?
Sure. Small business makes up the vast majority of all business in Arkansas. About 80% of business in Arkansas is a small business. And so all of those things that impact big business also impact small business. Making sure that you have a qualified, skilled workforce is one of the best things that we can help do. Making sure that the community you operate in is safe and that you don't feel the need to spend additional resources because your business is not in a safe environment. Those are the types of things that we are focused on, whether you're big or small, and really leaning into those spaces, I think, is what has helped both big and small business grow here in the state of Arkansas.
Absolutely. Any final remarks you'd like to share with the group today?
I'll just end again kind of where I started and say thank you for what you're doing here in the state of Arkansas. I love to consider myself the chief salesperson of Arkansas, but we don't have a good story to tell if people like you aren't investing in our communities and giving us something to go out and celebrate and sell beyond our border. And so what we get to see made up in this room is the success story of our state. I love bragging on Arkansas, and the people here are what give us a lot of bragging rights. And then I'm going to be in a lot of trouble, but somebody actually told me something they shouldn't have right before I came up here. And my friend Molly, many of you know, she's a member of Little Rock Rotary, but it's also her birthday. And so I'm going to end, Molly and I have known each other for a few decades, so growing up in Little Rock, been friends for a long time. I want to wish happy birthday to my friend, Judge Molly McNulty, who does a great job representing our state. So happy birthday, Molly.
Well, thank you, Governor Sanders, for your time, for your leadership, and discussing some of the challenges and exciting things that are happening in Arkansas. We're really grateful for your leadership and appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Governor.